Hello everyone and welcome. I hope all of you are doing well. I know it is a very peculiar time for us right now as a planet, but to that I say I hope all of you are doing well, staying safe, all that jazz, but I'll go into that a little bit more at the end of the video, but right now I'm here to talk about my month 8 hormone update. Wow, another 4 weeks went by just like that, and now here am I to talk about the few changes that I've noticed these past few weeks. I'll just get right into it, starting with the psychological stuff. Didn't really notice anything peculiar in that regard. I've been doing, I feel like I still kind of just feel like my normal self, especially, given all that's going on, some tense stuff here and there, some just just kind of getting pulled in multiple directions and dealing with whole bunch of different crap at once. But psychologically, I feel fine. Still trying to stay upbeat, look on the brighter side of things, and just trying to keep myself together during everything that's going down. But overall, I feel absolutely fine. Moving on to the physical stuff, one of the first most apparent things that I noticed is that hot flashes have come back. So like I want to say like around like the first week of the month, I just kind of noticed that I just started sporadically just having like hot flashes just here and there, like on like completely at random. I would just start feeling like uncomfortably warm and just start sweating, even if it was like room temp or even kind of chill in the room. I just had like these spontaneous changes to my body temperature, which um wasn't really sure what to make of. Just wasn't really expecting that to come back after having not experienced those for so long. But here they return, so I'm going to kind of interpret that as a sign that I might be revving up for another series of changes. I noticed that one of the first things that happened to me when I started HRT many months ago at this point was that hot flashes were among like the first signs, first physical things that I noticed before, physical changes started really started developing, started happening. So it could be an indicator of that. Moving on to the physicals, the other stuff, I've definitely noticed that my arms and legs have definitely slimmed down have slimmed down slightly more. They're definitely a little bit more definitely a little bit more toned, but that's mostly a result of my workout routine, specifically my arms, not so much my legs, because I honestly haven't been able to do that much running. Trying to condense my routine into my otherwise, busy schedule and routine and stuff. It's hard to be able to find time to run, but that's not really relevant. I've definitely noticed a little bit more development in my abdomen, in my hips. Definitely a little bit more curviness around that area. My chest does feel a little bit more fuller and firmer, but I'm not noticing any growth. So kind of like generally, it's like generally, I've noticed that there are some slight physical tweaks, arms, legs, torso, but not so much in the chest, in the breasts, or I should say. But speaking of chest, I've also kind of noticed a little bit of, I'm not sure how to describe this, but as of like the last 2 weeks, I noticed a little bit of like, kind of like a tender, sore, almost kind of like constricting type feel around my neck, sort of like where the tissue, from the head and the neck meets. I originally kind of thought that might be just some like a final soreness from like my last hair removal treatments, but then I realized like no, all of the swelling and all of the soreness from that like went away quite some time ago, and now I'm just going through the last bit of shedding, which gross, not going to talk about that. So maybe could be an indicator that I might be gearing up for a little bit of, I guess, like physical restructuring around kind of my chest and sort of neck. I'm not sure exactly what changes I could be looking for. Like maybe it'll be slendering out, or maybe the structure might be a little bit more changed a little bit, but that's really all speculation. I'm just noticing just kind of like this very like tender constrictiveness kind of around this area, and I'm not really sure why. On top of my skin, my skin feels about the same that it normally does, and everything. No real changes to my hair. Body hair growth is about the same, so really no changes there. And that's I believe that's really the gist of it. That's really the gist of it from what I can recount. So, not a whole lot, but still some subtle stuff here and there, which I will take as, a step up from, nothing for the past 2 months. So, maybe with the little indicators that I'm, kind of seeing and feeling here and there, maybe I'm revving up for maybe I'm revving up for another set of more prominent and more definitive changes as I'm getting closer to the year one mark. Yeah, and as always, I really have no way of knowing other than just kind of playing it day by day and week by week with whatever I manage to notice and observe. But overall, just kind of to recount, it's like no big psychological changes, physical changes. It's really mostly just the arms, the torso, the hips. Everything else is still about the same as it always was, with the exception of kind of this tenderness around my neck and a little bit more of this and a little bit more of a this kind of like more firmer, fuller feeling I'm feeling in my breasts. But overall, yeah, seems to be like the fullest extent of the changes. So that is honestly the gist of it. But before I go, there's one more thing I wanted to put a little bit of focus on, and that is the coronavirus. We all know what it is. We all know the drill. I don't have to explain this, but I'm not about to go on some long-winded PSA or some political statement. That's not really my thing. I just wanted to have a little bit of a heart-to-heart with all of you watching and just kind of share something with you. I know it's a very tense and difficult situation right now. It's not looking too great, and it most likely is going to get worse before it gets better. But in light of that, the best thing that all of us can do is keep our heads high and just hang in there. If you're in a position to stay home, gather what essentials you need and just bunker down with, either by yourself or whoever you happen to be living with, your loved ones, etc. Just sit tight if you can. If you can't, limit your exposure to other and your overall outside time in general, and just tread lightly and carefully out there and just be careful. I know for me personally, I will be staying home for the next couple of weeks, not only because actually on the day that I'm recording this, as of this morning and about to go into effect at midnight, the governor announced more or less a full state shutdown. So all non-essential businesses are being closed until further notice. All residents are being highly encouraged to stay indoors, to stay in their homes, only leaving for emergencies or to gather essentials such as from stores or pharmacies, if necessary. But more or less, everyone is being encouraged to just stay inside, and that is precisely what I'm going to do. Also, because I got temporarily laid off from my job because of the circumstances of this situation. So I'm going to be staying inside until further notice. I hope all of you can do the same as well. And overall, please be careful. Please tread lightly. Watch yourselves out there and keep your heads high. We're going to get through this. But anyway, that is the gist of it. That is the all of it. Anyways, thank you very much for watching, and take care.